So I haven't seen anyone do this. This might be a thing. This might be stupid. I don't know. But I haven't seen anyone do this yet. And I thought that I would come on and just read you my stats from this year, which maybe sounds hella nerdy, but I thought it was kind of interesting. Also, I found this page a few days ago, and then I lost it and I couldn't find it again because for whatever reason, it's not like easily, like I don't think you can find it from the app, and I had an email that had it in it, and then I deleted the email. So I ended up having to like Google different search terms until I found out what it was called again because I couldn't remember. But this is going to be my year in books for 2018. Before I get into the video, I just wanted to quickly say I hope everyone had a Merry Christmas or a Merry whatever it is that you're celebrating. I hope you had fun with friends and family or however you celebrate your holiday times. I really hope that you had a good time, and going into the new year, I hope your new year is a happy and joyful one. Anyway, getting into what I wanted to do for the video. I don't have like a ton of friends or anything. I thought this would be kind of interesting to share. So if anybody else wants to like read their stats online, comment below. I will totally be down to watch your video because I'm super interested, and also always looking for new people to follow on Goodreads that have like similar book tastes to myself. Sometimes I'm a little picky about like adding friends, mostly just because anybody can follow me, that's totally fine, but if I want to add you as a friend, I want to have at least similar book tastes so my feed isn't just filled with books that I'm super not interested in. This year, it says I read 8,741 pages across 23 books. Hopefully by the end of the year that will be 25 books, but not a big deal. And I just want to quickly say, not that that's not a lot of pages or a lot of books, it's still more than one a month, but I only got back into reading like a lot in July. So these are only the stats for like the last 6 months of the year, but I am full-blown excited for 2019. The shortest book that I read this year, and I don't think this is correct, unless it's just counting like novels, not novellas, because technically it says the shortest book I read this year was A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. It was really good. I actually think I liked the book better than the movie. I have seen the movie like over 15 times, not because I wanted to. But the movie is not my favorite. I think I have a better like respect for it and enjoyment for it since reading the book, but I definitely think I enjoyed the book better, and I could totally read the book again next year and see if it becomes like a tradition kind of thing. But if we're going for like shortest book or like novella type thing, it would have to be And Every Morning the Way Home Gets Longer and Longer, but I think it must just be counting novels. I don't know, or it's just off. It's saying the longest book is George R.R. Martin's A Dance with Dragons, which I also loved. I can't remember completely. I think this one felt a little bit more dragged out than some of the other ones. Like I feel like that one, and like I don't know if it was the second or third, that felt a little bit like drawn out, but then once you read it, it makes sense because it's like the other half of the last book. I can't explain it, but anyway, it was a really good book. I love those books. Clearly, if I can make it through over, I think this one says it's 1,125 pages. If I can make it through that, I had to enjoy it. That's a fact. The most popular book that I read this year on Goodreads was The Book Thief, with 1.3 million reads, or people who also read it. And my least popular book was I Carried You Home by Alan Gibney, which was actually one of my favorites this year. It didn't make it into my favorite videos because I think I only rated it 4 stars, but it was a really, really good book. At least I super enjoyed it. Kind of weird, a little dark, some like darker themes to it, but it dealt with loss and kind of grief, but it was a lot more gritty. It wasn't like a romanced kind of book. It wasn't like a beautiful book. It was kind of like a raw, gritty, like kind of like depressing book, if you will, but I really enjoyed it and I highly recommend it. I don't think it has, it says 60 people also read that book this year, so it's not a super popular book, not a very well-known book. I got it off Goodreads just on a whim because I think it was like $2 and I actually really liked it. My average reading for 2018 was 3.9 stars, which is good. It means I didn't read a lot of like really bad books. I think I only read a few bad ones, to be honest. My first review this year was Maya Angelou's I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. It was not a good review, which is kind of funny that that's the first one I wrote this year. I gave that memoir 2 stars, and it wasn't so much that her experiences, like, I feel like memoirs are really hard to rate, so when it comes down to my rating, I can't judge someone on their life. It's their life. It's how it happened. That's a fact. but the way they put pen to paper, or like print to paper, or whatever, however you want to say it, the way they write it down and the way they share their story definitely is something that I can judge. That's the only part I can judge, is how they wrote it, and I felt zero connection to this book. Zero, like, I had a very hard time feeling, like, empathetic to the character. I just had a really rough time with it. I didn't enjoy it. I thought it was written in a way that almost sounded, like, dumbed down. I'm not saying that to be rude. It just didn't sound like a very eloquently written book, and I think that with some editing it could have been a lot better. But the tone that, like, my mind heard was just very, like, nonchalant. Like, it didn't really matter. It wasn't very impactful. That's just me. I know I am, like, one of the few, but I did not like that book. In 2018, I'm gonna quickly read off all the books that I read. I know this part probably, if you want to skip ahead 30 seconds or so, you can. But the books that I read this year were I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, A Dance with Dragons, Into the Water, All the Light I Cannot See, The Book Thief, The Homefront Wanted Girls, Is Everyone Hanging Out Without Me, Oxygen, I Carried You Home, The Killing Jar, A Bend in the Road, Letters to the Lost, The Glass Castle, Midnight at the Bright Ideas Bookstore, Strange and Beautiful Sorrows of Ava Lavender, Bridge of Clay, The Nightingale, The Night Circus, Peter Pan, Bear Town, A Christmas Carol, and Every Morning the Way Home Gets Longer and Longer. The last review of the year was And Every Morning the Way Home Gets Longer and Longer. It's an absolutely beautiful novella talking about memory loss, like Alzheimer's, dementia, that kind of thing. And it's a really, really interesting story of, like, how their memory and their mind gets smaller and smaller and smaller, and every day when they wake up, they have the way back to, like, what they know gets longer and longer and longer. Obviously, that's the title of the book. It is so beautiful. If you want to see more, I will try and link my Goodreads review down below. It's only 74 pages. You don't need to say too much about it. It's very quick to read, but a super beautiful story. Had me in complete tears by the end. There was also places that made me laugh. It was just an absolutely beautiful, short book. It was just great. For my reading challenge, I had it set at 18 books. I usually set my goal at 3 books a month. That is what I think is manageable, especially because some of the books I read are between like 900 and 11 or 1200 pages. Some of the books I read are quite large. So 3 books a month seems like a pretty good amount, especially when you take into account the amount of pages. On average, I could read between 50 or like 125 a day. I know that's like kind of a big swing, big number difference, but it just depends on how much free time I have and how easy it is to read the book. Anyway, those are all my stats for this year, minus maybe the 2 for the end, but that's fine. We'll let those go, and I will talk to you all soon. Don't forget to comment, rate, and subscribe. Let me know down below if you liked this type of video or if you've made this type of video, and I will talk to you all soon. Thanks so much. Bye.